This is Scotland, known for its insane scenery and home to the iconic NC500. In this travel guide, we will show you our 7-day road trip itinerary of Scotland's Route 66, helping you make the most of your NC500 adventure. So let's get down to it. Starting in Inverness, we worked up the east coast. On the first day, we went up to Dunbeath. The east coast isn't as famous as the west, but there's still plenty things to see. We first stopped off at Itinerary Point. Now this place is actually famed for dolphin spotting, however the fame definitely missed us as we saw no dolphins and just got super cold. Hopefully you guys have better luck. Now about a 15-minute drive from Itinerary Point is actually the Fairy Glen Falls. This was a lovely waterfall. It was very easy to get to, parking was completely free, and it was only about a half an hour walk from the car park. Next on our day was to see the Dunrobin Castle. We actually arrived here a little later than we anticipated, so we weren't able to go inside the castle, but it's completely free to explore the gardens and the walls of the castle. For our first night we stayed at Inver Caravan Park. Fantastic cleaning and washing facilities, all for 28 quid for the night. And here are just some pics of our views and our setup. A jam-packed day is ahead of us as we travel from Dunbeath to Thurso. The first stop of the day was the Campsite Cairns. These Neolithic tombs were, not gonna lie, a bit eerie to say the least, so we swiftly moved on to the next spot, and that is Castle Sinclair Gurnagat. It was super easy to get here. We parked up with no issues for just £1, and then we just enjoyed exploring this incredible castle. Okay, so next was to drive to the tip of the country to get to the Duncansby Stacks. We parked up at the Duncansby Lighthouse for free and then headed straight over to see these incredible stacks. They are truly iconic for this area. Quickly popped into the famous John O'Groats. There isn't a lot here, to be honest with you. There is a lot of development underway, so maybe there'll be more in the future, but we did see the famous sign. Just around the corner from John O'Groats is the official most northern point in the UK, and that is Dunnet's Head. We ran up to the viewing point just to get a quick snap, and then we're off to Thurso Bay, our campsite for the night. I would be lying to you if I said Thurso was an amazing place to stay. It certainly is very practical. There's plenty of places to get food and, importantly, topping up on your fuel. Campsite facilities were decent enough, but nowhere near as good as Dunbeath. Heading along the northern coast now to get to Durness. After driving for about 2 hours, we finally got to the first place we wanted to see today, and that was the Smoo Caves. Again, parking was completely free, and after a very short walk down some steps, you'll be at the cave. There are 3 chambers within this cave. The main chamber is absolutely huge, and then there's another one where there's this unreal waterfall. The noise was deafening. Now the last chamber is only accessible via a boat, but the conditions just weren't favourable for us. That being the case, we just thought we'd head over to Bounnakill Beach. Again, absolutely no restrictions regarding parking, completely free, and we were so lucky we had the entire beach to ourselves. The beach is stunning, beautiful scenery, yeah, just so nice. After running around on the beach, we thought, ooh, we're a bit peckish, so let's have a look at the craft village. We found this really cool cafe called Cocoa Mountain, where they done some serious hot chocolates. I'm sorry, but it's an absolute must to have these hot chockies. Tonight's campsite was Sango Sands Oasis. For £31 for the night, this is one hell of a view. When we look back on it, Sango Sands was probably the best campsite. Amazing facilities for washing and cleaning. Even had like a breakfast shack where you could get egg and bacon baps for less than £5. We'd highly recommend staying here for at least 2 nights. We wished we'd done the same. So today we're heading to Ardmair and finally getting down that famous west coast. Our first stop was the Kyleskew Bridge. Most people, when they think of the NC500 route, will think of this famous bridge. There was plenty of spaces for parking your van right next to the bridge. There is a viewing point, a very short walk from the car park, but the visibility for us wasn't great, so we decided to head on to our next stop. and that was the Wailing Widow waterfall. Spaces for parking up your van was a little bit limited, so you may have to improvise. The hike to get to the waterfall was actually really cool. It was a little bit tricky and unsteady ground, but it was worth it. It was so cool. Next on our list was Ardrev Castle, just 10 minutes away from the waterfall. There was no issue parking the van, and again it was completely free. We were here about 30 minutes just roaming around this amazing castle. You could go anywhere you wanted. Our campsite for the night was just outside Ullapool, which is a good little place to stock up on food and fuel once more. But this campsite was beautiful. Such a lovely setting. We had a nice bit of scran that evening, couldn't beat it. All the showers and toilets were really clean, and a good amount of washing facilities so you can keep all of your camp gear clean. Another day on the Highlands as we head down to Shieldaig, with our first stop off being the Misach Falls. This waterfall is in a national trust, so if you don't have a membership it costs you £10 to park up. We headed straight for the viewing point to see this waterfall, and it was absolutely stunning. As well as the viewing point, we walked over the bridge that was right on top of the waterfall. Now that was really cool. As we're making our way down to Shieldaig, we wanted to go and see Gairloch Beach. The car park was completely free, and what was even better, there was a nice little cafe just off the beach called Link's Cafe. Definitely recommend it. A very quick little stop off to Ardeve Falls. This waterfall's right next to the main road as we travelled on to go see Victoria Falls. Again, parking was completely free. The walk from the car park to the viewing point of this waterfall is literally like 5 minutes. The walk takes you to the top of the waterfall, and when you're there you can see the viewing point behind you, and the views up there are amazing. As we got closer to Shieldaig, we had to go through the Ardmair National Park to our campsite. Now at this campsite, what was really good is that it had a notice board for arrivals telling you what pitch you were at. This campsite had lovely surroundings, had really good facilities, but could have done with some more toilets and showers. If you were in need of getting some more supplies in Shieldaig, there was a little corner shop, but there wasn't too much else. A big day ahead of us as we head down to the Ardelve. That in mind, we needed a big breakfast, and Nanny's Cafe had us covered in Shieldaig. During our road trip, we've been told of this local legend of Callum the Stag outside of Torridon, so we went to the Ardmair car park to find him. We waited patiently in the car park for about 20 minutes, and then literally out of nowhere, he just popped up. Since meeting Callum the Stag, unfortunately, he's very recently passed away. However, I am more than sure that his legendary status will live on. We then drove for about an hour along the coast to get to Applecross. We saw loads of baby Highland cows and the big ones too, but we soon moved on so we could get to the Balat Nabar, or otherwise known as the Applecross Pass. This is arguably the most famous passage on the NC500 route. We took care coming down and used all the passing bays where we needed to. Despite being a bit nervous for this section of the drive, it was actually a really cool experience, and we even saw a deer coming up the other way. That was so cool. Now for our campsite for our very last night, we stayed in the Ardelve. Now the Ardelve is a little bit off course for the NC500 route, but there's a good reason to that. But this campsite had great facilities. For the shower you did have to pay £1 and you got 8 minutes. And just around the corner there was like a fairyland inspired pizza and bakery shop. We definitely give it a shout. It's a great option to have when you can't be bothered to cook. We've made it to the last day, all limbs intact as we head back to Inverness. The perk of being camped up at the Ardelve was that we were only 5 minutes away from the Elaine Donnan Castle. After parking up for £3, we were greeted by the legendary bagpipes. We purchased our tickets for £3.50 and away we went to explore this amazing castle. If you want to explore this amazing country even more, check out this video and it will show all the best places to go. As we head ever closer to Inverness, we headed to Rogie Falls. Parking was super easy and completely free. We looked at the map and it looked like a fairly short walk to get to the waterfall itself. Within 15 minutes, we got to the bridge that sits right on top of the waterfall. It was a stunning view. We were told there was a chance of seeing some leaping salmon, but no luck on this time, so fingers crossed for you guys. So our NC500 trip is over, and hopefully yours is just about to begin. We hope you found this itinerary useful. The whole breakdown of our trip is in the description below. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below or DM us on Instagram. For all things travel, subscribe to the channel.